Welcome to another edition of Bet with Bobano. It is Wednesday, March 6th. Ian Cameron and Brad Francis are back with you, ready to break down a Wednesday slate of hoops action. We'll break down every NBA game as we normally do, but we will make sure we leave plenty of time for college basketball because March Madness is here. You've got conference tournament action already underway with some of the smaller mid-major conferences, so we will definitely make sure we get to a lot of that as the show goes on. So let's roll right into it, and we will begin in the NBA. Orlando, Washington, the Magic 7-point road favorites, 224.5 here in this game. You got Orlando playing a back-to-back. They were in Charlotte last night, 101-89 victory, win and cover for the Magic. 4-0 straight up, 4-0 against the spread now for the Magic in their last four games, continuing to play pretty good basketball here, 10 games above 500, and they catch this wretched Washington team on a 0-10 straight up losing streak, but more importantly, off a three-game road trip back home for that first game. That's usually a negative spot. For me, this is Orlando or pass. It's just a question of do you want to lay 7? I might get there with a small bet. We'll see what the starting 5 looks like for the Magic. You're always leery that on the second of a back-to-back, there's people sitting. But as of right now, it looks like everyone's good to go. Banchero's in, Wagner, Black, Suggs, and Wendell Carter. So looks like all systems go for Orlando. Magic or nothing for me. I'll probably have a small bet on Orlando pre-tip-off. What do you think, Brad? Orlando, Washington.
Yeah, I was on the Magic last night against the Hornets. Pulled out the cover. Was a little sweaty at the end, but not too bad. I'm actually going to lean the Wizards here. I just think this is a tough spot for the Magic off the back to back, and the Wizards they've been losing still. Don't get me wrong, but when you watch them, they're starting to look a little bit better. Jordan Poole has started to look a little bit better, and if you get Tyrus Jones, Kuzma, and Poole, actually all three of those guys contributing, they could actually keep up with some teams. So, I'm personally not going to bet it. And also, I thought this line was a little short. I thought this was going to come at like -9 for the Magic, -10. And I feel like that kind of tells me something there. So, I'm actually going to take my chances with the Wizards +7. But, as you guys know, Magic are my favorite team. So, I'm not going to fade them. But I actually do lean the Wizards in this spot.
Yeah, it tells you you're unbiased when it comes to the betting side of things. He's an Orlando fan. Doesn't mean he's going to recommend bet Orlando every night. So there you go. He leans Washington here, Brad Francis, with this one. All right, Cleveland and Atlanta. We've got the Atlanta Hawks 2.5-point home favorites, 214.5 the total in this game. I do have to give the Hawks credit. They're playing some better basketball of late. 3 wins in their last 5 games. A big win against the Knicks last night. But both teams, by the way, are on a back-to-back. Unbelievable game with the Celtics and Cavs last night. I was a man on an island, Brad, in that game. I do an NBA show Tuesdays, Thursdays with, and many of you that are watching now know that, with Ski Profit and Dutch and Wham. And I mentioned on that show, I'm the one that liked Cleveland plus the points in that game, was willing to take a stand and step in front of that freight train that is the Boston Celtics that was running people over with, 4 straight double-digit wins, just destroying teams left and right. And I was rewarded for it, taking Cleveland last night. But this is not at all a good Cleveland spot. My gosh, you're off that huge victory against Boston as outright as underdogs. Now you're going on the road. And they did it without Donovan Mitchell last night. Well, he's out again tonight. Evan Mobley's also out tonight. Still without Max Strus as well. Short-handed team, coming off that kind of a win, going on the road. I could only look at Atlanta, but Atlanta's also on a back-to-back and also coming off a big win. And there's no Trae Young. There's no Okongwu. DeAndre Hunter's a game-time decision. This is a stay-off for me. I don't trust Atlanta enough to say now I'm ready to lay points with them, but there's no way in hell I'd touch Cleveland in a spot like this either. What do you think, Brad? Cleveland, Atlanta.
Yeah, that's the same way I am. I think it doesn't get much worse of a spot for Cleveland. So I am definitely on Atlanta in this one, but same with you. Like, this is a game where I would maybe throw a half unit on Atlanta just because this team is just so damn untrustworthy. But I do think this is a terrible spot for the Cavs, and the edge is on the Hawks, especially at home here. So, I'm liking the Hawks here, but it's not an all-in play. I still can't have that trust with the Hawks at this point of the season. So I think a half unit play on the Hawks isn't a bad idea.
All right, Memphis and Philadelphia. Sixers, 5.5-point home favorites here. The total is 211.5, 212 in this game. I think everyone's first thought is, what the hell's happening here? Philly at home against Memphis, only laying 5.5 in this game. Well, there's reasons for it. It's the lineup. We just never know anymore who the hell's going to suit up for this Sixers team. And you can tell last night losing to Brooklyn, 112-107. It's a hard team to trust when you don't have their full complement. And we're kind of seeing that right now. It's funny. Memphis played at Brooklyn on Monday night and won as an underdog 106-102. Philly turns around. They play Brooklyn last night and they lose 112-107 to Brooklyn. So they're both off games against Brooklyn. Philly's on a back-to-back. Memphis has the rest advantage. This I still might take Philly here. This looks cheap. I mean, I don't know if I trust Memphis, quite honestly. I know they beat Brooklyn, but before that, they were, losing to Portland 2 games in a row, losing at Minnesota by 9, blown out by Brooklyn, blown out or lose to the Clippers. They have been that point spread darling that they were recently. They're still, of course, missing just a shit ton of players. Luke Kennard's the starting point guard. Jaren Jackson Jr. Is a game-time decision, and they're still without Desmond Bane, Brandon Clark, Marcus Smart, Watanabe off the bench, Zaire Williams, and John Morant. I mean, it's still a depleted team. Philly off a loss. I don't love it that it's a back-to-back, and I don't know if I'll bet it, but I'm leaning to the home favorite here. Any thoughts here, Brad?
Yeah, this is a weird ass game, especially with this line. It's a really tough game to pick. I'm leaning Philly too, but I don't love it at all. I mean, both these teams are so hobbled, like you said. I think this is a weird spot for Memphis. So they got that surprisingly win on what was that, Monday or something against the Nets. I just feel like this is a spot where taking the Grizzlies to cover and win 2 games in a row, that's just a death sentence in my opinion. So I lean the Sixers here. I do like Buddy Hield over 2.5 threes. I gave that on my Instagram today. I feel like with Tyrese out, it's that they're going to need to rely on guys like him, and also the Grizzlies allow, I think it's the second most 3-pointers to opposition. So I think it's a good spot to look at player props, especially on the Philly side of things. Some of these guys who may not get a lot of points usually with how hobbled they are, I think it's a time for them to step up. So official play this game, I'll go Buddy Hield over 2.5 3-pointers, but I lean Philly.
All right, lean Philly. All right, Clippers and Rockets. Clippers 6.5-point road favorites, 223 the total here in this matchup. I've been cashing a lot with Houston at home, and I cashed another ticket with Houston at home last night against San Antonio. It was a close game for much of it, but they pulled away late, and they got the 114-101 victory over the Spurs. Again, they've been a great home team all year, 21-10, both straight up and against the spread at home for the Houston Rockets this year. Now you're getting a nice home underdog number with them catching 6.5 here against a Clippers team that hasn't been consistent here for the last couple of weeks. They're just 3-4 in their last 7, and that's 2-5 against the spread in their last 7. The only victories were to a bad Washington team. They snuck one out against Minnesota, which was a pretty good win, beating the Timberwolves. But Minnesota hasn't been quite playing the same level of basketball post All-Star break that they did pre All-Star break. And then they lose to the Milwaukee Bucks 113-106 in that game. This is one of those spots, Brad, where the back-to-back does concern me a little bit for Houston. And, I'm not always in love with betting against a team that has the rest advantage, like the Clippers do. But the Rockets have been great at home. I don't have great trust in the Clippers right now. I might look Houston first half. Maybe hang in early in this game, and maybe the legs give out later in the game. But I don't know if I'm ready to just fully trust the Clippers laying the number like this on the road. I haven't liked their up and down defense. Their defense totally evaporated down the stretch against Milwaukee. And recently we've seen them lose to Sacramento as favorites, lose to the Lakers as favorites, fail to cover at Memphis as favorites, get blown out by Oklahoma City, blown out by Minnesota. I mean, they're just not playing at the level that I'm comfortable with laying this number on the road against a very good home team. It's really that simple. So maybe I look Houston first half. I'd be a little leery of the full game, but I don't know. Clippers to me don't look right. What do you think here?
Yeah. Looking at the first half odds, you could get them at +4 in the first half, and you could get them at actually +2.5 in the first quarter, which I kind of like that there. It's first quarter bets are a little risky, but getting 2.5 points for that amount of time isn't bad. And yeah, I lean the Rockets here just because they've been such a dominant home team. Getting 6.5. Do I love it because they're on the back end of a back-to-back? No. These aren't spots I usually want to take a team, but I can't fade the Rockets at home getting this many points against a Clippers team that's been inconsistent lately. So another lean for me here, but I'm going to take the Rockets.
Lean Rockets here for Brad. All right, Chicago and Utah. Chicago Bulls 3.5-point road favorites, 223.5 the total here in this one. The Utah Jazz are a team that really surprised people for a large portion of the season, but it's kind of gone the other way. They did beat Washington in their last game to snap a 3-game losing streak, but they're still just 2-8 straight up, 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games. Chicago is one of those weird teams where they're trying to put some consistency together, string wins together, string good performances together, but they've really had a tough time doing it. They beat Memphis, they lose the next game. They beat Atlanta, they lose the next game. They beat New Orleans, they lose the next game to Detroit as a 10-point favorite. They beat Cleveland, they get blown out by Milwaukee the next game. They're off a very nice win outright as underdogs at Sacramento, 113-109 in their last game. I think they're the better team, and I think the price is a little cheap, a little with how Utah is struggling right now going into this game. But it's at the same point in time a little hard to trust a Bulls team that putting wins together has not exactly multiple wins together has not exactly been their forte. They are healthy though now. Alex Caruso, their best defender, has been banged up a bit, but he's playing tonight. Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic are all going to play tonight. Banged up Utah team, though, and that's a concern for me. Keontae George, Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, who you can make an argument's been their best player all year. He's out for the Utah Jazz, and they're struggling right now. So the inability, Brad, to win back-to-back games does concern me for Chicago. But to me, I feel like this is a spot where they should be able to win 2 in a row. They've got a chance to maybe get on a run. I lean Bulls. I like this over, by the way. I've got no issues going against the market here. They bet the under in this game. I don't necessarily agree with that. Utah is not stopping people on the defensive end. It's been that way all season long. These two teams have played to the over in each of their last 2 meetings, including back in November in Chicago. There was 243 points in that game. It flew way over the total, and that total was 223, right around the same range of this one. So I don't get the under love. I'm going against that under love. I like the over, and I might get there with Chicago as well. What do you think here in this one, Brad?
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. It's rare to see a Utah Jazz game at home with a total this low. So I think this is I think the market's just a little overcorrected on this one. I think it's a good spot to take the over. As well as, yeah, I'm on the Bulls as well. I mean, like you said, they are the healthier team. This Utah Jazz team is hobbled right now. And just looking at this spot here, so the Bulls have actually been good in these type of spots this season. They have a 7-1 record as a road favorite this season. 6-2 against the spread as favorites on the road. So they've played well in these spots, and they've also played the Jazz well as of late over the last couple seasons. They won 4 of their last 5 meetings against the Jazz. So I overall just think this is a good spot for the Bulls. Laying 3.5 with the Bulls on the road, that's typically something I want to do, but I actually think this is a good spot against a hobbled Utah Jazz team. So I agree with you. I'll take the Bulls in the over as well.
All right, next up, Oklahoma City. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Portland Trail Blazers. Oklahoma City, 13.5-point road favorites, 224 being the total in this game. So the one concern I had coming in, are they playing on a tomorrow night? No, they're not. They're playing Friday night after this. Who are they playing Friday night? Is it a big-time team? No, it's at home against Miami. Miami's an all right team, but it's not like, wow, we're really looking ahead, to playing Miami on Friday night. So from that standpoint, that was the concern I had initially for Oklahoma City in this game. But you've got them off a 116-104 loss to the Lakers. It was probably one of the few bad games they've played since the All-Star break. And maybe there is some concern because they were rolling along and just crushing teams left and right. Now all of a sudden they lose as big favorites to San Antonio. But they did beat Phoenix, bounced back there, and then they lose to the Lakers. Maybe a little more inconsistency is creeping into the Thunder's game, but to me, this is a clear Thunder spot still. I mean, they've got a Portland team that they've consistently destroyed this year. And look, Portland on occasion can be competitive. They did beat Memphis twice. Memphis is depleted, and they did hang tough at Minnesota on Monday night and covered wire to wire against the Timberwolves. Timberwolves haven't been playing great lately. But what I do know is when Oklahoma City plays Portland, aside from the most recent meeting at Oklahoma City when Portland was pretty close in that game, the previous 2 were absolute destructions. Oklahoma City won one of the games by 62. They won the other game by 43. I mean, they just completely and utterly annihilated this Blazers team. Now you've got them off a loss. You've got Portland coming back home off a 3-game road trip. I like Thunder first half, Thunder full game. I'll split it up between the two here. You can get OKC minus 7 in the first half right now. That's probably a solid look here in this game. And then, of course, the actually minus 8 with the first half. It's gone up a bit. Minus 8 first half, minus 13.5 full game. I think this could be another, for the third time in 4 meetings this year, this could be another Oklahoma City beatdown of the Trailblazers tonight. Brad, what do you think here?
Yeah, I think this is going to be an absolute slaughtering. I mean, yeah, the Thunder they just been a moneymaker for me all season. I know 13.5 points is a lot, but they should be able to get this job done. I see some comments here, people talking about like SGA or Chet props, and yes, I like those. Those guys should go off, but I would be careful because I could see this one being a blowout and them, sitting their starters in the beginning of the fourth quarter just because the game is unreachable for Portland. You mentioned games like when Portland kept things close against the Timberwolves. We saw this Portland team beat like the Bucks in the beginning of the year, things like that. But those are teams who have disappointing nights. When it comes to the Thunder, it's far in between when they have bad nights. This team just performs and they do their job. They don't play down to their competition. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Thunder here. I think this one should get ugly pretty quickly.
All right, one of the games of the night for sure. The Milwaukee Bucks and the Golden State Warriors. We've got Golden State 3-point favorites, 227 being the total in this game. Should be an interesting matchup. Golden State's coming back home after suffering one of the worst losses they have all season, 140-88. Absolute destruction, unfortunately, at their expense by the Boston Celtics on the weekend. On Sunday, they'll look to rebound from that. But this is a tough spot. 4-game road trip in the Eastern time zone through Washington, New York, Toronto, and Boston. And now you're coming back home for that first home game. That is usually a tricky spot. I'd like this more if Golden State had won the last game rather than a blowout loss, because you would think that's going to leave Golden State hungry and focused and, ready for redemption tonight, play a better game. But the road trip spot's not great coming off that road trip first home game. That's never a spot where I'm excited to bet on a team. That's the old Malinsky special, the late, great Dave Malinsky. You bet against a team coming home for the first game after a 4-game road trip or longer, and that angle says bet against Golden State here tonight in this game. The one concern I do have here on the other side is Giannis going to play? And obviously that's huge, but it does look like it. Apparently he was at shoot-around, and that's usually the dead giveaway that he's going to play. Jamison Crowder's a game-time decision. Jay Crowder, I should say, is a game-time decision. Actually, he's probable. He's been upgraded. So it looks like he's good to go. Chris Middleton remains out, but everyone else should be good to go. Middleton hasn't played since February 6th, so more of the same there. But it looks like Giannis is good to go. With knowing that Giannis is good to go, it's Milwaukee or pass for me. I'm not stepping in front of this Bucks team right now. As much as I've, not the biggest Doc Rivers, Glenn Rivers fan, as I call him, you got to give Milwaukee their credit right now. 6 straight wins, 6 straight covers. They're beating every team that's coming across their path. Good teams as well. Minnesota, Philly, Clippers, very impressive comeback win against the Clippers, 113-106 last game. They're a team that's coming together. Defense, which was awful early in the season, starting to come together as well, playing better at the defensive end of the court. We know they've got one of the great inside-out duos in Lillard and Giannis, obviously. Things are just starting to come together right now for Milwaukee. We got certainly Malik Beasley's played well. And the bench is starting to make some plays and produce better. Things are just starting to come together for Milwaukee. They're red hot. They catch Golden State off the road trip. It would still be Milwaukee plus the points for me in this game. What do you think here, Nick? Brad. Milwaukee and Golden State.
Yeah, man, I'm going to take the Bucks here too. I have to ride the hot hand here. But just seeing what the Bucks have done over, like you said, the last 6 games, 6 wins, 6 covers. I mean, fading them in this spot would be tough. The Warriors looked absolutely god awful. That was against the Celtics. Don't get me wrong; the Celtics are probably the best team in the NBA right now. But I'm gonna take the Bucks here. I think assuming Giannis plays, I think they match up well with this Warriors team as well. So I think they'll be able to keep up with the firepower from Steph Curry ripping threes. We all know the Bucks have 3-point shooters as well. So I think it's a good matchup for the Bucks. They're hot right now, and you're getting 3 points. I actually wouldn't mind taking them on the money line either. If gun to my head, I think they win this game, but I'll play it safe and take the 3 points.
All right, great. Yeah, the Chet Holmgren props from that Oklahoma City game. Someone asking in the chat, you know what? If, with DeAndre Ayton maybe out for Portland, it would be definitely worth a look. I think Chet could feast in that paint area tonight without Ayton. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. Giannis is in, it looks like, Tommy. Giannis, he was at shoot around this morning. That's usually an indication he's going to play. Even if he doesn't, like, it's hard to step in front of this Bucks team right now. They're playing well. And I want to poke holes in Golden State's road trip. It's going to say 3-1. They lost to Boston, but Boston's, the best team going right now. But let's be real. The other 3 wins, here's what they were. Washington, which doesn't say much. The Knicks are hobbled beyond belief and struggling right now. So even that win doesn't look great because the Knicks aren't the same Knicks team right now. Too many injuries. And then the other win was against Toronto on that road trip for Golden State. Toronto's just depleted right now. You saw them get absolutely destroyed at home by New Orleans last night. So how much credit do you give Golden State for a 3-1 road trip? It's not a great road trip of performances. They beat a Washington team that stinks, a Knicks team that's struggling and banged up, and a Toronto team that stinks and is banged up. We're going to make a big deal of them winning 3 or 4 on that road trip? No, absolutely not. They played a real team, Boston, and they got destroyed. So to me, Milwaukee's form has really improved, and I think they could not only cover, but maybe even win this game tonight against Golden State. All right, next up, we've got Sacramento taking on the LA Lakers. We've got the Lakers minus 2.5 home favorites, 239.5 being the total in this game. Interesting matchup we've got here. It's a tough one to call, quite honestly. The Lakers, we have to give them some degree of praise for the way they've been playing. They've been a little bit better at both ends of the basketball court. We'll see if that can keep going here tonight against Sacramento. We do have the Kings, though, off that loss to Chicago a couple nights ago as favorites. Now they're a home underdog, and I think in these spots where they're playing a good team, pick 'em price range, they have been better. But the Lakers have won 3 of their last 4 coming into this game. Sacramento actually has taken both of the meetings this year head-to-head against the Lakers. In October here at home, they had a 132-127 win in LA. November 15th, they won 125-110. So Sacramento's 2-0 straight up in ATS this year against the LA Lakers, and they're off a loss. Kind of has me leaning Sacramento as a dog here, quite honestly. And the Lakers, the one thing about them is they play up and they play. It's a great point, Nick. They play up, they play down. They always play up to the competition, though, and they'll play up in this game. And the Lakers, as favorites, no thanks. You give me the Lakers dogs, I'll look. But favorites, I'm still not totally in love with taking the Lakers whenever they're favored in a game. Looks like LeBron's going to play. I know he's always showing up he's questionable, but I'm sure he's going to play on a Wednesday night game like this. And Anthony Davis will play. They're always on the injury report. I think both of them will end up suiting up tonight. Everyone's healthy, too, for Sacramento. De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis, all good to go. The starting 5 for Sacramento. Sacramento would be the way I would go. I would probably look at over as well in this game. I think there's going to be points. Sacramento's defense comes and goes, and you look at the 2 games with the Kings and the Lakers this year, a lot of points in both games. I think you'll see more of the same. And long term, we're looking at 6-2. It looks like 7-2 to the over in the last 9 meetings between the Sacramento Kings and the LA Lakers. So I might get there with the Kings. I lean that way. I think I like the total even more than that over the number here in this one. Brad, what do you think here? Sacramento, LA.
Yeah, I'm liking the Kings as well here. I mean, they've just been such a solid road team. Against the spread, they're nice against the spread. I mean, 19-13-1 ATS on the road. So I love that there. And yeah, I mean, they play the Lakers well. And with this Lakers team, right when you think they're starting to look good, they'll let you down. So I can't trust them to string together some wins. And I just think this is a feisty, a pesky Kings team that come into your home court and they just show up. So I think this is a game either team could win. So I like in 2.5 points here. I think it's going to be a close one, but I actually lean the Kings to get the job done.
It's funny. The Lakers just 14-17 against the spread at home. Sacramento 18-15 straight up at home. But how about 19-14 against the spread at home? So they actually have a winning positive road ATS record this year. So they've actually been better on the road.
Exactly.
Sacramento, believe it or not, than they've been
at
home.
Looks like De'Aaron Fox. I don't know if you mentioned that, but it looks like he's back in the lineup, so that should help.
Yes. Yeah.
help their offense as well. Actually, like a little.
And he always scores against the Lakers. I think his over points is worth a look. Yep.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, he's gonna be rested, and yeah, actually like a Kings money line, Bucks money line parlay, two plus odds teams there. I think both of them could win this one outright.
All right. Oh, liking a couple of dogs there in the late night hours, Sacramento and Milwaukee. There you go. That's the NBA card. We'll get into some college basketball. There's a lot going on in college basketball. Regular season wise, it's always a little tricky at this time of year. But you've got, I actually think I like Eric Musselman's team in our Arkansas a little bit tonight against LSU. This is the time of year you got to find those coaches that most years they get their teams playing well and they perform well in March. And I know this has been a tough year for Arkansas, right? This is not the last couple of years where Arkansas has been an NCAA tournament team, but Musselman in March is still someone I'm leery of betting against. Hell, I took them plus all those points against Kentucky over the week. I just said, you know what? This is a coach that gets his players up, at this time of year. Oh, you did? That's all right. Hey, look,
Arkansas. I didn't have a shot the whole game. Arkansas, they just hung in there, and they were up. They were up at some point. That game pissed me off, but good win though. Good win.
Oh, I appreciate that. But my thinking was, look, Arkansas has been garbage much of the year, and I understand it. Kentucky at home, you think they're going to run Arkansas right out of the building, but what I thought going into that game was, it's Kentucky. They're going to get up for it. It's a lot of points. It's still Kentucky's defense kind of comes and goes, and it's Eric Musselman in March. And it's just one of those coaches where it seems every year he gets the most out of his team. They play better in March than they did in February, better in March than they did in January, better in March than they did in December, etc. It always seems that the good coaches, the guys that are in the tournament most years, this is the time of year they get their teams playing their best. So I think at home, Bud Walton Arena against an LSU team, I have zero trust or confidence in them. They've had a flighty year. To say the least. I think Arkansas laying a small number there at home can get the job done in that game. Villanova, Seton Hall. I want to take Seton Hall at home. It's a huge game. They need the win more than Villanova. I think Villanova, with that win on the road at Providence on Saturday, that might have been enough to punch their ticket to the dance. But Seton Hall's not in yet. Seton Hall needs another big victory, and this would be it. So I think I favor Shaheen Holloway's team and the Seton Hall Pirates here at home at a pick'em. Although I'll be honest, Villanova took my money on Saturday. I was on Providence in that game at the Dunkin' Donuts Center where that great home court, and Villanova was just too good for them. So I'm a little leery of it. I got to give Villanova their credit. They've been playing well, but I still lean Seton Hall in that game. Florida Atlantic continues to be the great fade as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the ATS numbers continue to be just a disaster for Florida Atlantic. They're favored on the road against a very good North Texas team. I mean, I can't pass up the mean green. North Texas, home underdog in that game. I mean, Florida Atlantic looks like they're going to get back, check in when it's back in the conference tournaments. People are saying their NCAA tournament bid because of how just really ordinary they've looked in conference play. People are saying they're in jeopardy of missing the tournament. I don't think I buy that because they did have a couple of good non-conference wins. That win against Arizona alone in non-conference is probably going to be enough to keep Florida Atlantic in the tournament as an at-large. So I don't think they're at risk to miss the tournament, but they've kind of gone through a malaise here throughout the AAC conference season where it's just they couldn't give a damn about playing their best and covering these numbers. And we've seen it over and over again from this Florida Atlantic team. Like, look at how atrocious their ATS record is, since conference play began. So I could only look at North Texas there in that game as home underdogs against Florida Atlantic. Tennessee, South Carolina. This is an interesting game, Brad, because I believe they're factoring in the Tennessee revenge spot into this line because Tennessee isn't laying 1 or 2 or 3. They're laying 5.5 here at South Carolina. And I get it. It's revenge. South Carolina went into Knoxville, went into Rocky Top, won outright as double-digit dogs at Tennessee earlier this year. I get it. It's a revenge spot. Tennessee just beat Alabama on the road. They're playing great. But I do think you're paying a little bit of a premium here with Tennessee in this spot tonight. And let's not look past the fact that South Carolina with Lamont Paris, who's done one of the great coaching jobs this year, has been very good at home. We just saw them beat Florida at home in a big game on Saturday afternoon. I was looking to bet Tennessee, Brad, and I'll ask you directly about this game. but I think they've baked the revenge factor into that line. I don't think you're getting a bargain on Tennessee there.
Yeah, I think Tennessee is the better team, and it's a good matchup for them. And I do see them winning it, but getting 5.5 points with the South Carolina team at home, it's too. I can't take Tennessee laying that many points. So I am leaning the Gamecocks as well, but it does scare me because I do think I could see Tennessee pulling away, but I'm definitely not going to lay 5.5 on the road with them. That's for sure.
Yeah, I definitely get it. I think it's just that's factored in. Yeah, you're not getting a bargain. You're not getting a discount with the revenge factor, and the Tennessee's rolling right now. So to me, no bargain. I like Iowa State at home against BYU. They're just so good at home, in my opinion. And I know BYU came back from the dead to beat TCU on Saturday, but going on the road now, it's a different story. And Iowa State's just been so good at home all year, so I don't mind laying the points there with the Cyclones at home. Be careful with UConn and Marquette. Okay, UConn destroyed Marquette at home recently, but UConn's locked up the Big East regular season title and the number 1 seed in the Big East tournament. What's on the line for UConn? Not a whole lot. The only thing that can happen is someone gets hurt. So this is definitely, I think, a game that matters a little bit more to Marquette tonight. It's not easy to step in front of UConn. I get it. But this is a spot, Brad. They've clinched everything. They've locked everything up. They already beat the hell out of this Marquette team earlier this year. I'd be leery of laying points on the road with UConn just based on the situation there. What do you think of that Big East matchup tonight?
Yeah, no, that's how I feel too. I mean, what scares me is just how bad UConn beat Marquette, though. So we know they have the potential to blow them out, but like you said, I think Marquette has more to play for. And UConn on the road, I think Marquette comes into this one a little pissed off after what happened last game and really gives it their all. So I am leaning Marquette plus the points at home, but going to be a stay away for me just because that last game that was an absolute slaughtering. So leaning Marquette plus the points though.
All right, there we go. Good opinions there. What else do we have here? Look, I know the last time they played at Vandy, it was a destruction. It was 109-77 for Kentucky at Vanderbilt, February the 6th. But you look at this game, they play at Tennessee on Saturday after they lost at home to Tennessee back in February. It's a huge moment in the schedule for Kentucky. Get out of Dodge with the win. They don't give two shits about winning by 20 points or whatever point spread this is. I think this is a big, ugly dog that can hang in the number. Vanderbilt tonight at Kentucky with that. With that big friggin' showdown with Tennessee coming up over the weekend. And Vanderbilt, look, they went to Arkansas, won outright. At Florida, they covered. They lost by 13 as 15-point dogs. We're not asking them to win the game. We're not asking them to even be in the game. We're asking them to lose by 17, gets the job done, cashes a ticket for us. Lose by 16, gets the job done, cashes a ticket for us. They're getting 17.5, 18 in this game, with Kentucky playing this monster game at Tennessee over the weekend to wrap up the regular season. Give me Vandy here. Like I say, I don't expect them to win, but hang inside this monster number.
The ball's on you, Ian. The ball's on you, man.
There you go.
No, I'm playing. I mean, it's just I don't know. I was leaning Kentucky. I didn't get to the window to it, but I don't know. It's a tough place to play Kentucky at home. I could just see it being bad. And Vanderbilt's been a kind of fade material for me all season, but you do got a point with it being a look ahead spot. So I understand where you're coming from there.
And maybe the over too. I mean, we did have, because if Kentucky wins and covers, it's going over. It's not going to be because of their defense. It's going to be because they score 109 again. Against Vanderbilt. So the over might be worth a look too. What's the total there? 161. Yeah, I could see that going over the total. Absolutely. All right, some conference tournament stuff that I like here in the we got the Ohio Valley. I like Southern Indiana a little bit. +3. Look, you're taking your bankroll into your hands. If you're going to lay points and take a bunch of favorites, Brad, in these conference tournaments, this is not the time, I think, in these, especially these small conference tournaments, to be laying points left and right. You want to be looking at underdogs. Killed it last night. You look at the Atlantic Sun. You look at the Sun Belt. A lot of these conference tournaments, the underdogs did very well. So I'm definitely looking to make a case for some. Southern Indiana. I think Southern Indiana played better than Tennessee State down the stretch. So I would lean, and plus the tournament's in Evansville, Indiana. So, it's probably a little bit of a venue advantage for Southern Indiana as well. So I'm interested in them getting plus 3.5 against Tennessee State. Eastern Illinois and Edwardsville. Now, that is a favorite that I do like. I think Edwardsville is probably better than Eastern Illinois. So I would agree with them being, I think that game might go over the total. I've cashed some overs with Edwardsville this season. They play fast. I think that game might go over the total. 143, it's a reasonable number. Northeast Conference, St. Francis, PA, Central. To be honest with you, I think I look at these games and outside of, well, I shouldn't say that. I think Sacred Heart and Lemoyne, those two favorites are going to win in advance. I think they'll both get it done. Sacred Heart against Wagner, Lemoyne against Fairleigh Dickinson. I do think both of those teams will advance. But the first two games in the Northeast Conference tournament, I think St. Francis, PA, and Long Island both getting double digits are worth a look. I mean, you've got to have a damn good reason to lay double digits, Brad, in a conference tournament game. These long-term are not positive expectation wagers. The long-term numbers, ATS, Brad, laying double digits in conference tournament games is not good. Okay, so, and I've seen it over and over again, year after year. So we're not saying Francis, PA, and Long Island are phenomenal teams. We're just saying that Merrimack and Central Connecticut, their opponents, may not be up to the task to cover double digits in a conference tournament games where the pressure's on those higher seeds as well, or those lower seeds, those number 1, number 2 seeds. Look at Eastern Kentucky last night. We were laying almost 10 against Jacksonville. They lost outright, bounced from the tournament. So I don't love laying points unless I have a damn good reason to, especially big points in these conference tournament games. Do you agree with that, Brad? What's your philosophy with that?
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. Like for that St. Francis game, I do think Central Connecticut State, that I do think they win that conference. I think they are the better team, but I am leaning St. Francis in that one. That is way too many points. I mean, getting double digit points in these conference games is a steal. We saw it, just a couple nights ago. Whether it was Queens or Jacksonville, these underdogs really coming through and actually winning outright. So I agree with you. Yeah, I like St. Francis, but I like Sacred Heart as well. That is one of my plays for these conference tournaments.
All right. Radford and South Carolina Upstate, the Big South, first round as well tonight. I think Radford's a sleeper in that conference. They're laying 5. I think they win. But you know what I do with the teams I like that I think they're going to win, but they're favored? Like I say, unless I have a damn good reason to lay the points, I won't. I think they win. I'm not going to take the dog here because I think Radford's the better team and they'll win. But if Radford wins here, there's going to be some opportunities later in that conference tournament, Brad, to take Radford as a dog when they play the lower seed teams and the tougher teams in the conference tournament. That's the one thing you can do. Sometimes you think a team can make a run as a Cinderella in the conference tournament. You don't have to bet them that first game, especially if they're favored. If they win, you can come back and bet them as a nice underdog, getting good amount of points the next game when they play someone better. And those are usually the spots you can cash in on some of these teams you think could maybe make a little bit of a run and be a bit of a under the radar sleeper in a conference tournament. And I feel Radford could be that in the Big South tournament there. That's another thing to keep in mind. But is there anything else on the board tonight, Brad, that you want to mention, and anything else you like in college?
Yeah, let me. I'll just scroll through some games here. Are you touching Minnesota and Indiana tonight? Are you going to roll with the
So
hotties?
here's my thoughts on that. Okay, Indiana showed me something against Maryland. Okay,
Mhm.
I did not see that coming. I did not see that, and that was impressive. That was so impressive that I'm leery of going against Indiana a little bit. But I'm not fading Minnesota, one of the best ATS teams in college basketball at home. So that game is probably going to be a pass for me. But if I had to bet it, I would still lean to the Gophers in the barn at home.
Yeah. Yeah, another good matchup we have, Houston versus UCF. I like the under in that one. I just think Houston's defense will be too much. 8.5 is a lot of points. I could see UCF covering that. I'm going to stay away, but I do like the under in that game. Texas A&M Corpus Christi, it's a big number, 13.5, but I've been riding with this team all season. I'm taking them again. I can see that one getting ugly. That BYU Iowa State game, I think that's going to be a good one. I am leaning BYU plus the points, plus 7.5. If that team gets hot from the 3, they could win that one outright. We saw it just last week.
Brave man going against the Hilton Magic, but you are getting 7.5.
Exactly. But we saw them beat Kansas outright on the road last week. So I love BYU, man. If that 3-point gets hot, it's dangerous. Texas A&M at home, lane 2.5. Love them there. Probably one of my favorite college basketball plays. It's been a rough go for Texas A&M, especially in conference play, but I think this is a good bounce back for them. They absolutely need to win this game if they have any chance to get to the big dance. They probably won't make it, but there's a slim chance if they could win this game and do well in the conference tourney. But love Texas A&M to pick up a home win there. Let's see. I'm on Seton Hall as well. I think that's a good spot for them. And yeah, that'll do it.
You know what? That game makes my gives me a headache. That Mississippi State Texas A&M game, because Texas A&M is fucking awful right now. Terrible. Yep. 1-5 straight up their last 6 games. I know they did beat Georgia on the road their last game, but this feels like just this typical Buzz Williams bullshit in the month of March, where you give up on the team, they're not playing all that great, and then all of a sudden they flip a switch and they start to go on a run in March. He's done this shit before. There was a year Texas A&M was just as pedestrian as it gets in the regular season. They get to the SEC tournament, and you know what they did? They got to the damn final that year in the I think they lost in the final, but they got there, and they just started to go on this red hot run. So, and he's one of those coaches he's capable of doing that, Buzz Williams. So, yeah, for that reason, I could see A&M winning that game tonight. I really could. We'll see if they do, but like I said, it's hard because their form's been so bad, but it's crazy. I could see them winning that for some reason tonight. So you liking A&M there in that one against Mississippi State. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We're here every Wednesday, Brad and I, 4 p.m. Eastern on Bet with Bobano. Be right in the throes of Power 5 conference tournament college basketball next Wednesday when we do the show at this time. So that'll be a lot of fun. NBA, of course, as well. Speaking of NBA, best bets. You can also throw out a college best bet, Brad, if you want. But what do you got? Best bets for Wednesday.
Yeah, so it's Buzz Williams season. We're taking Texas A&M. It's my favorite college play of the day. And then give me the Milwaukee Bucks on the money line. I think they're hot right now. The fact that you could get them at plus money, it seems like a steal. I think they match up well with the Warriors. 6 wins and 6 covers in their last 6 games. Let's ride with the hot hand. Give me Texas A&M and give me the Milwaukee Bucks to win outright in Golden State.
There you go. Texas A&M money line against Mississippi State College, and Milwaukee +3 against Golden State.
What could go wrong with those 2 teams, man? What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Absolutely. For best bets. Absolutely. I agree with that. All right. My best bets for tonight, NBA. Let me see what I'm going to go with here. I think I'm going to go with that Sacramento LA Lakers over 239. I really like Milwaukee. I'll give you Milwaukee as well. I agree fully with Brad. +3.5 is actually out there with Milwaukee. We'll go with that and the over with the Kings and the Lakers. And then for college basketball for tonight, there's some good spots. I think I'm going to go conference tournament for best bet here. I'm going to go to that Southern Indiana spot, +3.5 against Tennessee State. Little Ohio Valley tournament action. It's in Evansville. It's good venue advantage for Southern Indiana. I like their form down the stretch. They were a decent underdog down the stretch, too. Getting 3.5 in that game. I think they're live. Southern Indiana +3.5 against Tennessee State. There you go. Best bets for basketball action on this Wednesday night. That'll wrap up this edition of Bet with Bobano. Shout out to everyone again. Brad Francis, tell everyone where they can find you.
Yep, you give me a follow on Instagram at Brad Wins Bets. Post my wins and losses there, other free picks, all my content funnels back into there. So appreciate all the support, and I appreciate all you guys watching.
Absolutely. We're here every Wednesday, and we'll be here again next Wednesday for another edition of the show. For Brad Francis, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. Bet like Tony Soprano, bet with Bobano, and we will see you again next Wednesday for another edition of Bet with Bobano.